Welcome to Cinematic Review. Today, we will recap an action crime drama made in 1996 called Set It Off. We begin the movie at a bank where Frankie works. She recognizes Darnell from her neighborhood, and she is curious as to why he is in the bank that day. Turns out, he is there to rob her. Frankie refused to comply with Darnell's demands, leading to the death of an old woman, and a shootout ensues, leaving Darnell, another accomplice, and two other security guards dead. There was one assailant that actually got away with about $20,000. FBI lead detective Strode questions Frankie as to why she didn't follow the protocol of the bank to pull the silent alarm. The bank managers and the FBI believe Frankie was involved, subsequently leading to her termination from her teller job. Stevie is Stoney's brother, who just got accepted to UCLA, and they're throwing a party for him in his honor. Stoney, Cleo, and Titi work for Luther at Luther Janitorial, cleaning up buildings, and the boy is a prick. Titi wanted to be paid under the table to avoid paying taxes because she needs every bit of her check to pay for her son's babysitter. Luther emphatically declined, not wanting problems with the IRS. Now Nate owns the dealership and has taken a liking to Stoney, needing money to help her brother Stevie go to college. Stoney sleeps with Nate to get the money that she needs. Not being able to get a recommendation from the bank that she worked at, Frankie gets hooked up with a job at Luther's Janitorials with her friends. After getting the money for Stevie to go to college, he finally tells Stoney that he has actually not been accepted to UCLA, angering her because he lied to her and what she had to go through to get that money. Stevie goes to see Lorenz, who was the last man standing from the bank robbery at the beginning of the movie. He is currently being hunted by the FBI, and Stevie wants the AP, Acorn Projects design that Lorenz has in the back of his head, not knowing that this was the exact description that led the FBI to Lorenz. Now, as he leaves Lorenz home to head home, Stevie is mistaken for Lorenz by the FBI, who thinks that they've got their man from the bank robbery because of the design on his head. Stevie is unalived when he reaches for the champagne bottle in his jacket, also being mistaken for a gun. FBI eventually storm Lorenz's home, who is also unalived in this gunfight, not wanting to be taken into custody. Four women, each having financial issues of their own, come together and decide that they will rob a bank. Stoney and Titi go to Casa Bank, where Stoney is approached by a banker named Keith, and he is interested in Stoney. He wants to take her out on a date. He gives her his number. Now, not having no money for a babysitter, Titi brings her son Juwan to work, and after leaving him alone for a few minutes, the baby accidentally ingests cleaning supplies, leading to CPS taking him away, citing Titi for neglect for having him at her workplace. The women go to Black Sam, who is an underground weapons dealer, to get their weapons to prepare for their endeavor. Now Cleo steals a car, which will turn into an MO for the four women, leaving the CDs of the victims at the crime scene to substitute them with her own music. You know, you gotta ride in style, huh? The women have their first bank to rob in their sights, savings and loans. Right before they make the move, as they're in the bank, Titi backs out, yet Frankie, Stoney, and Cleo go through and successfully make off with $12,000. Pocket money, not worth what they did, but in the 90s, it's a lot of money. Frankie almost makes a scene when they're splitting up the money. When Titi comes in and asks for her cut, Stoney is willing to give her her cut, yet Frankie says that she does not deserve anything because she ran away. Keith gets the chance to take Stoney out and they hit it off, even though Stoney doesn't think that they have anything in common. She needed it. Definitely needed it. Detective Strode sees the bank footage of the girls and instantly believes that Frankie and Stoney are involved. When he goes to his superior to bring in the two, he is denied because the captain cannot fathom that the sister of the slain college student who was just wrongfully killed would be connected to bank robberies. I understand, but you don't know what's going on around here, Captain. Cleo has not been to work since the robbery, spending the little cash that they made already on a new car and her girlfriend. The girls go to her home, garage, and confront her about it, and she wants them to continue to rob banks. Frankie is down because $3,000 is nothing to live off, but Stoney isn't wanting to do another robbery. Cleo, still coming off the high of their robbery, and maybe just a little too much estrogen and testosterone, points a gun at Stoney, trying to force her to do another crime spree, leaving Stoney to slap her. Now, Cleo, you know you deserve that. You have no right to point a gun at one of your best friends. Now, they do make up, but not before Detective Straw does his own surveillance on Stoney's home and finds her entering the car with her accomplices, finding out the names of the others. Cleo gets her job back with Luther, and the four women, Italian mob style, have a sit down at work and reconcile to rob one more bank to get enough money to leave California and start new lives. Bada bing, bada boom. Bob Boss Savings and Loans. Cleo again starts the robbery by stealing another getaway vehicle, throwing the CDs out of said car, and piping in her own tape. There is an intoxicated man outside of the bank that causes police presence in front of the bank, right where Cleo is parked with the getaway car, imploring her to go steal another vehicle. Frankie spots the police through the window and starts to get nervous, but Cleo saves the day by ramming the new stolen truck through the bank and directly driving through the window where the police were. The women get away with $296,000, making $75,000 each. The women plan to continue to work for Luther until Titi can get Jawan in 3 days at a hearing, and then they will leave. They hide the money in a vent at their workplace, fearing that if the police track them down, they won't have the money anywhere visible to implicate them to the robbery. Keith invites Stoney to a cocktail party, which is a black tie affair he has to host. She accepts. After showing up looking like a box of crayons to Keith's home, they make a pit stop to a formal clothing store and get Stoney a beautiful black dress. The night ends off perfect as Stoney has one of her best nights in her life, feeling special. The two end up sharing the night together. Ooh-wee, gave my boy a little noogie. The next night, the women head into work to find out Luther has retired from the business, took the ladies' money. They return to Black Sand to get the whereabouts of Luther, who was at a motel. Boy, Brother Luther, you should have left town immediately. Cleo, Frankie, and Titi storm his hotel to find Luther in bed with a night walker. You know what I mean? Having the time. Cleo wants their money back, but Luther reaches for his gun and aims at her, leaving Titi to shoot him and unalive Luther. R.I.P. Big Luther. Cleo threatens the night walker with taking her license for insurance to make sure that she doesn't identify them to the police, which she doesn't, knowing that Cleo has all of her information. Not finding the money Luther stole, the four women have no other choice but to rob one more bank to get enough money to leave town. That bank It's Downtown Federal, Keith's bank. Stoney, falling in love with him, does not want to, but she gives in. TT gets extra motivation, seeing that the following day from their robbery is her hearing to get Jawan back. The women don't even have enough money to pay for a meal the morning of the robbery. Cleo gets the getaway car again, and with the same MO, throws the CDs out the car. Detective Straude and Waller are actually at Downtown Federal, advising the bank of the perpetrator's MO, and Keith recognizes Stoney in the footage. At the same time, Stoney is calling into the bank to get Keith to meet her at the soul food place where they had their first meeting. He obliges. The women enter the bank with every intention on collecting, being even more hostile than before, sending off warning shots, but the silent alarm was pulled, triggering Straude and Waller, who just left the bank, to turn back and confront the four. Now Straude tries to plead with the group to not go through with their robbery, but as TT and Stoney begin to lower their weapons, two security guards jump into action, shooting TT in the chest, thus ensuing a shootout. Cleo, being the gangsta bee that she is, uses her Uzi to subdue the police to give Frankie a chance to bring the getaway car to help them escape. They carry TT's body to the car, and as they're going to their own car, she does not make it. R.I.P. TT. They have to leave her body in the getaway vehicle as they get into Cleo's car. The whole of Los Angeles police are on their tail. Cleo drives into a tunnel and makes Frankie and Stoney get out the car to help them escape as she takes the police on a chase the opposite way. Frankie and Stoney split up as well. Cleo, having been boxed in to a police blockade, sees there's no way out. She grabs one last cigarette and attempts to run through the blockade as she is berated with a flurry of bullets. Still managing to still be alive, she gets out of the vehicle with her Uzi. She gets unalived in a gunfight. R.I.P. Cleo Menza. You went out like a champ, baby. Stoney gets to a bus station where she gets onto a bus headed for Mexico, while Frankie gets caught and she has a standoff with the police. Now Straude tries to reason with her to turn herself in. She pulls her gun out and she asks, "What's the procedure when the gun is pointed at your head?" A callback to the beginning of the movie when Straude was asking her what was the bank's procedure when a robbery was in progress. Sadly, as she turns to run, she is shot and unalived by the police. R.I.P. Francesca. Stoney is on the bus directly in the line of sight of the standoff, watching this, and Detective Straude happens to look directly in her eyes, but in a twist of fate, he says nothing, allowing her to get away. Maybe being that the cause of the string of robberies were due to Stevie being unalived by the police unjustly. Stoney gets to Mexico, cuts her hair off, planning to start fresh. She calls Keith to say thank you. Maybe to him for not notifying police of her when he saw her on the footage, or for giving her the chance to experience love even for a short time. Or maybe both. The movie ends with her driving off into the hills of Mexico. Please like, comment, subscribe, and as always, stay blessed. We'll see you on the next one.